The Michael Jackson movie is failing. Here's what went wrong. This should have been unstoppable. A movie about Michael Jackson, the biggest entertainer the world has ever seen. A $200 million production. Years of hype. A lead actor who looks exactly like him. And yet, within days, everything collapsed. Critics didn't just dislike the film. They tore it apart. The shock. Build disbelief. When Michael released in 2026, expectations were massive. But instead of praise, it landed with a brutal 27% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. That's not just bad. That puts it among the worst reviewed biopics in years. Reviews called it frustrating, disappointing, safe, and hollow. So, how does a story this powerful turn into something this weak? The movie that refused to go deep. Here's the first problem. This movie doesn't feel like a real story. It feels like a carefully controlled version of one. Instead of exploring the full life of Michael Jackson, the film stops at 1988, right at his peak. No downfall, no chaos, no second half. Critics noticed immediately. Because when you only show the best parts of someone's life, you're not telling a story. You're building an image. And that's where things start to fall apart. Because what happens after 1988? That's the story everyone came to see. The truth that was removed. This is where the movie becomes controversial. The film completely avoids one of the most debated parts of his life. Backhand index pointing right the allegations. Originally, those scenes were in the movie. Police raids, emotional breakdowns, legal battles. But then something happened. They were cut out entirely.
Why?
Backhand index pointing right legal restrictions. A past settlement prevented those events from being shown, forcing the filmmakers to rewrite the entire final act. That means major reshoots, a new ending, a completely different story. And audiences could feel it, because suddenly, the movie stops right before things get real. A story with no ending. And here's the strange part. The movie doesn't actually end. It just stops. With a message. The story continues. But for audiences, that feels like a missing final chapter, a broken narrative, and incomplete journey. People didn't come to watch part one. They came to understand the man behind the legend. A brilliant performance trapped in a weak film. Now here's the twist. The performance? Surprisingly good. Jaffer Jackson. Looks like him, moves like him, even feels like him on stage. Critics actually praised that. But the writing? That's where everything collapses. Reviews describe the film as cliché, surface level, more tribute than story. So, even when the acting works, the story gives it nothing to stand on. The chaos behind the camera. And the problems didn't start in theaters. They started during production. Behind the scenes, the film was dealing with legal complications, script rewrites, expensive reshoots, delays. The budget ballooned to nearly $170 to $200 million. And when a film goes through that much change, it almost always shows fans versus critics war. But here's where it gets interesting. Not everyone thinks the movie failed. In fact, fans love it. The audience score is extremely high, even near record-breaking levels, Forbes. So now we have a split. Critics. It's shallow and incomplete. Fans. It's a celebration of a legend. Two completely different experiences. The real reason, the core truth. And this brings us to the real problem. This movie didn't fail because of acting, music, budget. It failed because of one decision. It chose safety over truth. This isn't a failure caused by bad acting. It's not because the budget wasn't enough. And it's definitely not because the story of Michael Jackson isn't powerful. No, this failure comes from something deeper.
Fear.
Fear of controversy. Fear of legal consequences. Fear of damaging a legacy. So instead of confronting the truth, the film avoids it. And when you remove the hardest parts of a story, you don't protect it, you weaken it. Because the real story of Michael Jackson isn't just about greatness. It's about contradiction, genius and struggle, fame and isolation, admiration and controversy. That tension, that's what makes a story real. And without it, you don't just lose controversy. You lose the story. So now the real question is, Did this movie protect Michael Jackson's legacy? Or did it erase the truth? Let me know what you think.